Hello, Oilers fans. Welcome to the day after discussion of the Oilers' 4-1 loss to the Seattle Kraken. In today's day after episode, we have lots to talk about. We have some standouts from last night's game that I do want to mention. We have some not so standouts. And of course, there's also the Kris Knoblauch conundrum here that I do want to talk about. I was hoping I didn't have to talk about Kris Knoblauch in preseason, but he has basically left me no choice, and I want to know all of your thoughts in the comment section below once we get to these topics. So if you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button. If you really like it, make sure to subscribe to the channel as we continue to climb our way towards 10,000 subscribers. Crazy and amazing and just unbelievable. So thank you all for your support. Also, Kitty, we got the Kitty cam. He is currently sleeping, and he is just a fixture of the channel at this point. He loves being in my office when I'm recording, so that's why I have the Kitty cam as per usual. But let's just jump right into the day after discussion. Let's first talk about the standouts, then the not so standouts for your Edmonton Oilers before we discuss Kris Knoblauch here. So last night, the Oilers lost 4-1 at 5-on-5. They carried a 61.1 expected goals for percentage, but they got an .833 save percentage from Stuart Skinner. Now, obviously, fans are already up in arms over Stu. I blame the wave more than Stuart Skinner personally, but that's just my personal opinion. If you were doing the wave last night, stop doing that. Nah, I'm kidding. We're chilling. Standouts last night for the Edmonton Oilers. Andrew Mangiapane, his first game in an Edmonton Oilers uniform. He had a goal for Edmonton. He scored halfway through the third period before the fans started doing the wave, and then Seattle immediately made it a 2-goal game once again. Mangiapane had 16-10 of ice time and a 79.11 expected goals for percentage at 5-on-5. I thought Mangiapane in the first period looked a little bit quiet, but as the game went along, he was able to get a little bit of penalty kill time. He got a tiny little bit of power play time, and of course, he scored at 5-on-5. So Andrew Mangiapane, he's showing that versatility there, where you can play him in the lineup. You can play him on special teams. You can play him 5-on-5 when you're trying to get a goal or two. And I liked his game a lot. He looked quick. He was doing a good job in the corners, battling for pucks, and hopefully we continue to see growth and improvement from him. Obviously, we don't get too high on players or too low. Remember Ty Ratty? 8 goals in the preseason years and years ago. Oh boy. We all thought Ty Ratty was going to put up 30 goals next to Connor McDavid. So this is why we always have to take preseason with a little bit of a grain of salt. But nonetheless, it is good to see production from one of the new players for Edmonton here. And for Mangiapane, he's a player that could be cracking this top 6 as well in the absence of Zach Hyman. So we'll see how he does moving forward. Next player I want to talk about is David Tomasek. Oilers signed him in the offseason, brought him over from Czechia, and Tomasek, he just looks better and better every game that he plays. He did great on the faceoff dot last night. He was 70% on the draws. He had a 76.01 expected goals for percentage. David Tomasek is a player that is going to make decisions very difficult for the coaching staff when it comes to rounding out this team, who you're going to play in that bottom 6. I know players like Matthias Janmark and Adam Henrique and some of these guys, like they are fixtures in that bottom 6, but boy, oh boy, would I love to see a player like Tomasek get an opportunity to really show his stuff and maybe even play top 9, maybe even stick him as a third line left wing or something. Who knows, right? I do like David Tomasek a lot. I thought he played really good last night against Seattle. No complaints from me. Hopefully he is able to stick around. Hopefully as of the recording of this video and when you're watching or listening to it, he is still with the team. As of this recording, don't know if there's been any cuts yet. I imagine there are going to be significant cuts when they do happen. I'll try and have a news update for everyone. And then the third player that I thought was a standout in a positive way last night was Quinn Hutson. He did not end up on the score sheet. He played 14:20 of ice time, and he had a 60.88 expected goals for percentage. Quinn Hutson does a lot of really good things away from the puck. I found there were a couple opportunities where maybe he could have driven the net or tried to get a shot off, and he chose to defer to teammates. For Quinn Hutson, he has a good shot. This is a player that I'd like to see just, drive the net a little bit more. Just take that angle to the net and throw a puck. You never know what is going to happen. For Quinn Hutson, of course, I know he's trying to find his teammates, but his on-ice instincts are very solid. He's always in the right spot. He's very rarely making any major mistakes. So for Quinn Hutson, very happy with his game last night. I hope he gets to stick around a little bit longer. Like I said, there is some opportunity to make it into the top 9 here in Edmonton when it comes to the wings. And for Quinn Hutson, he has shown well so far in preseason. So let's hope that he is able to stick around just a little bit longer. I want to get another look at him moving forward. Now, when it comes to the not so standouts, well, I put the Oilers' entire top line on the bottom of the screen here. Trent Frederic, 0 points, a -3. He played 18:48 time on ice, most of it with McDavid and Draisaitl, and he had a 40.03 expected goals for percentage. Now, Trent Frederic, he was given some power play time with the top unit. He was given some penalty kill time, and he was given time on the ice when the Oilers had the net pulled to try and at least make it a one-goal game. They were unfortunately unable to do that. So for Trent Frederic, Kris Knoblauch has come out and stated that Frederic is going to be given some runway to get some chemistry with McDavid and Draisaitl. And then this is where we're going to get into the Kris Knoblauch discussion in just a couple minutes. Trent Frederic, I don't know if he's a good fit here. I know that they're looking at the player type and they're looking at the absence of Zach Hyman and they're going, well, Trent Frederic has a lot of similar traits to Zach Hyman. My only issue here is Trent Frederic was brought in and signed to play potential third line center and then maybe play up on the wing in the top six periodically. Trent Frederic is a player that you likely do not want to see on your top line with your two best players because he just doesn't drive play that way. That's not kind of his play style. I think Trent Frederic is much better suited centering his own line instead of being a complementary winger. Just watching him in Boston a lot, I know he can play wing. I did prefer him at center, even though he didn't play a ton of it. I did prefer him on his own line away from some of the more skilled guys, even though he can play with them. So for Trent Frederic, this is 2 games in a row where he has not looked comfortable. One game where he played with mostly AHLers. Well, not really. That first game of the preseason he played, he was with Pud Colson. So for Frederic, just need a little bit more. We need to see a little bit more here. And for Kris Knoblauch, I know he's trying to get them going because there's not much runway left between now and the start of the regular season. If you're trying to force chemistry, it's not going to happen. This is where you should be rotating guys in and out. I don't know why we're not getting a look at Savoy with Draisaitl or Savoy with McDavid or Ike Howard with either of the two big guns. I don't know why Kris Knoblauch is just immediately trying to get Trent Frederic in there. And last night, Andrew Mangiapane got a couple shifts as well with McDavid and Draisaitl. The fact McDavid and Draisaitl are even together right now in preseason, I don't really like. I mentioned in yesterday's pregame report that I thought that this was a big brain play by Kris Knoblauch, trying to get other players going, see if it motivates other players to want to force themselves into a top 6 role with that opportunity. But clearly, I don't think that's working so far. Again, small sample sizes, preseason, lots to work out here. But Leon Draisaitl last night, he also had 0 points. He was a -3. He led all forwards in time on ice with 22 minutes. I don't know if that's what you want to be seeing in preseason. Your top players leading ice time. I think you want to get more ice time for some of your non-star players, but that's just me. Draisaitl last night had a 49.52 expected goals for percentage at 5-on-5. And we'll have to see moving forward how him and McDavid play together. If Kris Knoblauch decides to keep McDavid and Draisaitl together, I really hope that they do get separated, though, when the season starts. This team is better when they are separated, and it just creates more depth up and down your lineup. We saw last night, Seattle shuts down McDavid and Draisaitl, and then the Oilers just don't have the depth. They don't have the personnel to be able to overcome a 2 or 3 goal deficit that Stu usually serves up, whether the team is outplaying their opponent or not. McDavid last night, 0 points, -3, 21:49 time on ice, and a 46.87 expected goals for percentage. What was interesting last night, though, before we talk about Kris Knoblauch, was that McDavid and Draisaitl, they both got penalty kill time last night. Significant penalty time. There was a one penalty where they actually started on the kill, and they immediately got a 2-on-1 together. For McDavid and Draisaitl, they were trying to find each other a lot on the ice. It didn't look like they were trying to find their teammates a whole lot, so that's something to keep an eye on moving forward as well. Again, I would prefer if they're separated, but I did like that they're getting penalty kill time. I know Leon Draisaitl has talked about wanting to be in that Selke conversation, which he should have been in last season. I've made a couple videos on that. If you missed them, you can go on my channel and try and find them. Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, obviously as a nuclear option, if you're down by a goal in the third period and you're hoping to get one, I don't mind it. When you're starting your games, when you are starting preseason with them on the same line together, I don't know. I don't know how much say McDavid and Draisaitl have in the lineups. I would hope they have very little say when it comes to Kris Knoblauch's decision-making. And if this is all on Kris Knoblauch here, well, this is a good segue into discussing his, decision-making so far in preseason. So, some thoughts on Kris Knoblauch. Now, last season, the Oilers brought in Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson, and both were assumed to be wingers for Leon and Connor in that top 6. Jeff Skinner and Arvidsson, I projected to be in that top 6 basically all season long before the year even started. Kris Knoblauch, not too long into the season, basically reverted back to McDavid and Draisaitl on the same line, and then scratched Jeff Skinner for almost half of the regular season. It didn't matter what Jeff Skinner did. Didn't matter how good he played defensively. Didn't matter if he was scoring goals. Jeff Skinner found himself on the outside looking in all the time, and Kris Knoblauch loved going to McDavid and Draisaitl for whatever reason. I don't know what the reasoning is. Kris Knoblauch says it motivates the rest of the group and gives other players more ice time and opportunity. To me, it makes the team have less scoring depth. It makes the team easier to defend, because when you shut those two players down, it's a little bit harder for anyone else to pick up that slack. They got to be on their own lines. Now, this season, this is where I'm also having some problems, and it's only September 25th. We could all be laughing about this video in a couple months from now if, Kris Knoblauch is just doing some big brain chess matches right now. Ike Howard, Matt Savoy, and others are looking to crack this NHL roster, especially when it comes to their wing depth. Their wing depth is not super strong, and the kids do need opportunity here to see what they have. Zach Hyman is out until at least November, so that's why players like Howard and Savoy have opportunity here. They have a chance to potentially get into that top six, provide some offense, play with McDavid and Draisaitl. But right now, so far in preseason, Kris Knoblauch has reverted to McDry already, and he's sticking with Trent Frederic on their wing, even though Trent Frederic has expressed interest in playing center, likely in that bottom six. For Kris Knoblauch, I don't really understand the logic or decision-making here. Again, I'm trying not to overthink preseason, right? Like, this is what the fans do. We talk about what we see is happening, and obviously, Knoblauch and the coaching staff, they likely have some sort of plan, I would hope. If they don't have a plan, and it's September 25th, then oh my goodness. But what I'm trying to get at here is that Kris Knoblauch, historically, has set a pattern of what he says is truth, and what he is doing is what will occur. He has already said that he wants McDavid and Draisaitl together to start the season, and he has already stated that he is going to give Trent Frederic runway to gain chemistry, even though Trent Frederic clearly does not look good up on that top line with them. I know it's a one-game sample, but at the end of the day, you have to look at that and kind of question the decision-making here. And I have to wonder as well, does Stan Bowman question these decisions as well, right? Stan Bowman, as the general manager, this is not his head coach. He did not hire Kris Knoblauch. Stan Bowman came in after Knoblauch was hired. So when you take a look at all of the variables here, if the team gets off to another slow start, at what point do you can blame the players? At what point do you also blame the coach a little bit as well? We saw it with Jay Woodcroft. Team plays good throughout the season under Jay Woodcroft. Defensively, a little bit shaky, but that slow start in the 23-24 season led to Woodcroft firing. And I'm not saying Kris Knoblauch is going to get fired, but I'm also not saying that it's not impossible for him to get fired, especially early on. Stan Bowman could be wanting to bring in his own guy. I know there is talks that Knoblauch is very close to a contract extension with the Oilers. Right now, he does not have an extension. So if you were going to move on from him and bring in a coach that might have some better ideas about how to utilize his lineup and maybe play some kids a little bit more, because you need to play the kids. You got to play the kids. I'm tired of playing these vets who historically don't score a whole lot and just hoping and praying that because they're with McDavid and Draisaitl, it unlocks some kind of offensive touch. It has worked for some players. It has not worked for others. I don't see Trent Frederic being a guy that it is going to work out for, but we'll have to see once the season starts. I want to know all of your thoughts in the comment section below on that. I don't mean to rant this early in preseason, because I always say preseason doesn't matter, especially when the team loses. Preseason doesn't matter. If the team had won 5-1 last night, and Draisaitl had 3 goals, and McDavid had 3 assists, and Trent Frederic had a goal and an assist, we'd all just be like, it's just preseason. We won't worry about it too much. But because the team lost, they looked a little discombobulated, and because Kris Knoblauch seems to really be committed to Frederic playing in that top 6 with Leon and Connor, this is where a lot of Oil fans, or a lot of fans in Oil country at least, are very concerned, very confused, and hopefully some of the stuff does not come to fruition. There's only 4 games left in preseason, so this is the time now where you start making your cuts, and you have to see who is going to fit where in your lineup. And if you're still trying to figure out who's going to play with Connor and Leon with only 4 games left in the preseason here, oh my goodness, that is not going to translate well to the regular season. I hope I'm wrong, though. I hope I'm wrong. We'll see how it goes. Kitty doesn't seem too bothered. right? He's pretty calm about it. Maybe that's what we all need to be here in oil country. We all just need to take a bit of a breath here, all right? Now, the Oilers tomorrow, they play the Winnipeg Jets at home at Rogers Place at 7 p.m. Mountain. That game is once again on Oilers Plus, or if you live in the Winnipeg Jets region, it is on TSN 3. Now, last night, I did forget to do the 3 stars. There was a viewer here that wanted me to go over the 3 stars. I did not do it last night. I'm going to quickly go over the 3 stars for them, and then we'll wrap things up. So last night's 3 stars, you had Morrison, who had a goal and an assist, Andrew Mangiapane with a goal, and then Myers with 1 goal, 1 assist as well. Those were your 3 stars. My apologies for forgetting the 3 stars. I am a very forgetful person. I will try and make sure to include the 3 stars in every post-game fan reaction moving forward. Keep me accountable. If I forget the 3 stars after the game tomorrow, well, that's 5 gifted memberships, folks. Same with when I forget the victory chain after wins. That's also gifted memberships too. I love all of you, Oil Country. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section below. Keep that conversation going. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're not yet subscribed, and tell someone that you love them. All right. I'll be back tomorrow with a pregame report before the Jets game. And if there's any major news that breaks before then, keep an eye on the Austin Hockey YouTube channel. Daily uploads here as always. Fight like a kid. Fight like Ben. Let's go Oilers. We'll see you soon.